Welcome everybody to I'll Be Right Back, the show where we talk about a horror movie, and this one's not really a horror movie, but it kind of is.
I don't know. I don't know what noise I made there. We'll get into it, I guess, but I don't know.
Covers a lot of area in the Venn diagram, I feel.
Oh, we've got a Venn diagram. Yeah, it's certainly got some real dark, gruesome moments, and I guess we'll get into it. But it's just bizarre. It's a very strange mashup movie, I think.
So we're talking Gremlins, 1984. This is a movie I had seen maybe 10, 12 years ago. It was kind of one of those classic movies that I kind of felt like I need to watch this at some point. Stuck it on. I remember enjoying it, but not being like die-hard obsessed that I know a lot of people are. Like, this is sprawled like a massive kind of multimedia thing, you know, particularly in like merchandising. You know, you see with NECA, like there's figures every week about this franchise. So I remember liking it, but not being obsessed. Upon a rewatch, I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I think it deserves every kind of bit of praise that it gets.
I think it's a really interesting film. I think it's one of those ones that people have become obsessed with. Like you say, it's almost become a pop culture thing. And we've talked a lot, haven't we, about how sometimes when you go back to these early movies, they don't quite stand the test of time. So I hadn't seen Gremlins for a good while, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was tremendous. I loved everything about it. I love the practical special effects. As you say, it really does deserve, I think, all the praise it's given. And interestingly, as you know, I always watch these movies with my better half, and at the end of it, she said to us, the special effects stand up, don't they? This doesn't feel like it's aged much.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Like it, honestly, absolutely blown away. People shite on now about how good Baby Yoda looks. And like, this was fucking 40 years ago. Like, it's insane how good Gizmo looks like as an animatronic, and kind of there's some cool kind of ways that they got around having such a small thing have that many complicated parts. We'll get to that later. Bit of background about the movie. It's directed by Joe Dante, who had done The Howling and the original Piranha movie. Watching this, I instantly in my head thought Small Soldiers, which is a movie that I love. Sure enough, he also directed that. Written by Chris Columbus, obviously huge director, went on to do Home Alone and the first two Harry Potter movies. So, you know, I think you can feel a little bit of Home Alone, the Christmas vibe in this, the kind of like not quite a kid's movie, not quite an adult's movie kind of middle ground that this kind of sits in. And then obviously produced by Steven Spielberg, which is huge. Just kind of, I think, right after he'd established his production company after doing E.T. So he kind of was looking for another kind of fantastical project. Yeah, Gizmo is so cute. Like, I mean, just the most adorable thing I've ever seen in a movie. It's one of those, you just see him.
I can't do the voice. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. You just see him and you're just like, I want one. Give me one. I'd like this for Christmas.
So you're probably too young, James, because I think you're about 13. But when I was younger, when I first got with my then girlfriend at the time, Malona, Furbies were a thing. I don't know if you remember Furbies.
Yes, I remember having no, my sister had a Furby.
Yeah, they did a limited edition Gizmo one, and I got her that for Christmas, and it was stunning.
What, how old were you, 50?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Furbies, I that look has to be somewhat inspired by Gremlins, I would imagine. You look at them side by side, they look identical. But yeah, like the effect, you never really, like, I think, you know, sometimes when you're watching it, you're like, oh, this looks really good, but you're never like, I don't believe this is a thing.
I think there's only one scene for me which feels out of kilter with the special effects, and that's where they've been in the swimming pool and the kind of all coming down the street.
The stop motion scene.
Yeah, that scene feels a little bit jarring compared to the rest of it.
That's fair, absolutely. But like, to get that effect, like, there's obviously lots of kind of really complex animatronic parts for Gizmo. So for close-up shots, they had like a bigger one that they kind of put more pieces in, and they just like had like big 3D glasses to give them and stuff, so it looked like it was tiny. I thought that was a really clever way of doing that. The Gremlins themselves are just like one of the most fun villains in a movie. They're just such menaces. I love like they just go into this bar and they're just smoking and drinking, and one of them's got a trench coat and he's just flashing the bartender.
I just love the mythology of it as well, because you've always had that kind of term, haven't you, the Gremlins in the machine kind of stuff. So to make them a tangible creature, and I think, you know, the crazy guy at one point says that he's a little bit racist. I mean, that's interesting. He makes a few racist comments, but at one point he makes a comment about the Germans sending them over to get into machines and stuff. And I think, actually, do you know what? That's a really cool idea. It's a clever concept, and I just love that they're having fun. Do you know what I mean? They just couldn't give a shit. They're just there destroying and having a laugh.
And like, it's interesting because like the tone of this movie is so fun. Yet they're killing people. Like, this is like, you know, some people are like dying in kind of horrific ways throughout this.
This is the thing I found most interesting about the movie, is that the first kind of half of it, I guess, or maybe it's not half, it's almost like Disney-esque in terms of its campiness and its silliness.
It's a live action cartoon. That opening shot with the, you know, it's almost like a noir kind of.
I love
you'd
that
expect
bit,
a Bugs Bunny thing.
Yeah.
So did I. Yeah.
But But you've got the kind of the wicked bank woman walking down and people in the street going, oh, jumping out of her way and stuff.
Good morning. What's good about it?
Yeah, but it's so pantomime. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you've got horrific scenes of the mother with a carving knife stabbing one to death and then blending one, putting it in the friggin' microwave. And then the human characters, like you say, a whole host of those get bumped off.
Thank you for reminding me of the kitchen sequence, because Billy's mom is a fucking badass. She just like, fuck this. I'm not getting victimized here.
You wouldn't be telling her a turkey's dry at Christmas, would you? Because she'd kick your ass. I think, I have to say as well, one of my favourite bits is the inventor dad. And just every scene, there's some new shit invention that they're kind of being forced to use. Bathroom buddy, you've got that horrendous coffee maker thing.
Smokeless ashtray, which is a thing now. I think they actually have those now. Don't they?
Yeah, I just love him. I think he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That voice that comes out of him as well is like, ooh, that's sultry. I feel like I've heard that somewhere.
Who comes out of who?
Of the dad.
Oh, the dad. I can't say I got. It didn't. Yeah, okay.
Sounds like that guy. I know he I can't remember the actor's name. He's done like some country music songs. That I checked. I was certain he was the guy in that that Convoy song. The We Got a Big Convoy. He was the one. I thought that was him. I can't find that it is.
I mean, that was tremendous, James. You have to do that again.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. That's my end of year singing performance. So you're welcome. But just like a gremlin in a trench coat flashing. It's just like, what is this? What's happening here? This is just. That's
the thing. I mean, even the second movie goes even further, but I like the fact that this is not just a generic every creature's the same. You can see they've all got distinct kind of personalities and different oddnesses about them and stuff. The scene in the cinema where they've all got the glasses on and they're all sat watching the movie, it's just
having a good time, singing along. It's fun. I almost wanted to be there, only I get murdered probably.
Yes, I would imagine so. And then we're talking about the special effects and how sometimes it's horrific. You've got the cutiness of it, and then you've got the water being spilled and the things like erupting from his back, which are pretty horrendous. And then the actual green version of the gremlins themselves are hideous, really.
Just like the gross, it's almost like alien-esque, the gross kind of eggs that they burst out of.
When Spike bites the bullet at the end and melts, it's absolutely vile.
Gave me Flashes to Fright Night.
I thought that as well.
The guy from Billy from Fright Night dying. Yeah,
I thought that as well.
I also love like that they just sometimes they whip out a gun. Like a gremlin will just have a gun and shoot at somebody. I thought that was great. The cast I thought was really good. Like Zach Galligan, I think is his name. I might be ruining that. Playing Billy, another Billy. This is the third Christmas movie with a Billy in it that we've done. Yeah, three Billys. Billy. Excellent, really great leading character. I thought was really likable. I was rooting for him the entire time. Phoebe Cates, who obviously she had just come off of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, sex symbol at the time. I really think it's admirable that the movie didn't lean into that at all, that she's just kind of your girl next door. They never had a kind of a bikini scene or a she's getting dressed kind of sequence. You would think that they would.
Because we've watched a few 80s kind of movies and boobage is always on display, and it's absolutely not a feature in this movie at all. And the young lad, who's he again? Because I recognise him. Is it
Corey Feldman from Lost Boys and various other things. Yeah, he's every 80s movie he's in
it.
Stage
I think it's part of the contract. He's got to be in everything, isn't he?
But he was a fun character. I liked him with the slingshot kind of shooting at the thing. I love how like just towards the end, the entire town it's just so chaotic. Like everybody is fighting them off, and it's so much fun. Like it almost made me want kind of a video game where you're running around town fighting back against the gremlins.
And I'm sure as well, James, you might have it in your facts bit, but I'm sure I've read something about the town being the same town as they use in Back to the Future.
Yes, it is. And like I was reading about how they like purposely didn't want it to look like a real town. They wanted it to look a bit like a set, like to have this almost dream-esque, I guess, kind of feeling to it. And there's like other elements, and you could argue this is just laziness and they're bullshitting, but like they don't push. This movie was filmed in the summer. They don't like make fake kind of cold breath come out of people. Like you know, if you're watching it knowing it's summer, you kind of tell like it's just it's like ground up limestone and white sand used for snow and stuff.
So here's a question for you, and just because you've mentioned the snow. When the gremlins get wet, they pop and the other gremlins come out of them, hence them going to the swimming pool and chucking them in the water, yeah? When they're all walking through the snow, why is it not happening there then?
Because snow isn't water.
Of course it's friggin' water. Snow is water.
No, I mean, technically. I mean, yeah, but also like...
Do you realise you just said snow is not water?
Snow is not water, yeah. No, you can have dry snow. Peter?
Okay, right.
When is after midnight? Like, what if the Gremlin's on a plane? What if Mogwai's on a plane? Like, what happens then? If you're moving time zones, what time is midnight? How far after midnight is it then before the next midnight?
I mean, these are all questions that are just far too hard for our simple little brains, James.
Is it midnight to 6 a.m.? Would you get away with 6:01 a.m.? You know,
Let's move on. Let's move.
it's important. I feel ruins the movie for me. A little bit of trivia about the movie, Peter. This blew me away. I only found this out today. Gizmo is voiced by Harry Mandel.
Would you be blown away if you knew that I didn't know who Harry Mandel is?
Absolutely, he's an American kind of TV personality. He is best known for hosting. He's one of the judges on like America's Got Talent, I think. But I was like, oh my god, I didn't know that was him. So I thought that was really funny. He's the last person, not the last person, but like you wouldn't expect that it would come out of him, you know. And I've seen him doing the voice since. It's like, whoa.
Gizmo's got a very iconic little voice, isn't it? It's like he's just what the hell was that? That wasn't. Do that again.
That was my weak attempt at I guess. Sound more like Waluigi.
I love Gizmo. I think his voice is amazing. He's just cute. But also, the voices for the main Gremlins as well, Spike and stuff like that, just creepy. Like when he's got Bailey and stuff. It's just
I like how it makes no sense that they can talk, but they can just talk, and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, I like it. I'm rolling with this. The movie, along with Temple of Doom, led to the creation of the PG-13 rating. So you're probably familiar with this. That like it was PG when it came out. 2 Spielberg movies kind of in a row had come out, and they were rated PG, and they were kind of advertised as family films. And then there's some horrific stuff in this, and yeah, it was not quite at R. So yeah, I wound up getting a PG-13 rating. I think it was like a month after it came out that they put it in.
That doesn't surprise us, mate, because it is at times horrific. It is quite scary, I think.
There's also like, and this, comparison to Home Alone as well, where there's just like cursing. People like curse and make sex jokes, and everyone's smoking. It just feels
it's
like
the 80s. They're allowed to back then, man. Do you know what I mean? They didn't care. You know what I mean? Do what you want.
The Santa speech proved to be controversial, and studio executives insisted on its removal because they felt it was too ambiguous as to whether it was supposed to be funny or sad. Director Joe Dante, however, stubbornly refused to take the scene out, saying it represented the movie as a whole, which is a combination of horrific and comedic elements. Executive producer Steven Spielberg did not like the scene, but despite this, he viewed the movie as Dante's project and allowed him to leave it in.
What was the Santa scene?
This is where Phoebe Cates talks about her dad got stuck in a chimney crawling down in
Do you know
Santa,
what? I'm
really
pleased
dark.
you've mentioned that, because that feels completely out of place in the movie to me. I remember sitting with my wife and thinking, wait, what the shit? What's this all about? It was just bizarre, I thought.
I understand where they're coming from, but I felt like it was a bit of a downer as well. I can't remember exactly where it's placed in the movie as well, but it was. I think it's coming off of a fun scene. It's like, okay, we didn't.
But it had no relevance to anything really. Do you know what I mean? It was
character development, I guess. I mean, it's like he's an idiot. Don't go down chimneys in Santa suits.
Well, what the hell? Yeah, mental.
And lastly, originally Stripe and Gizmo were the same character. This changed when Steven Spielberg insisted one of the Gremlins be a good guy with whom the audience could identify. Director Joe Dante expresses this decision was the reason why the film is so fondly remembered.
Ah, that's interesting.
If like the movie had established that a Mogwai could turn back from a Gremlin into a Mogwai again, I would have assumed Gizmo would have turned into a Gremlin at the end to fight Stripe, and then he would save the day. That being said, my favorite scene in this movie is when he zips around the corner in the fucking little pink car and just comes to save the day, and I was just like, yes.
Have you seen Gremlins 2, James?
I have, but again, like this movie, I remember there being a hooker Gremlin, isn't there?
Yeah, but in that one, we'll get Gizmo doing his Rambo thing with his little red kind of bandana and stuff.
I remember. yeah. So any final thoughts on Gremlins?
It's a cracking movie. This for me is a feel-good Christmas movie. We're reviewing it on a horror channel, and that's, I think, a fair comment, because it has got elements of horror in it. There are some pretty horrific scenes in this. So yeah, I love it. It definitely is one of those movies that is worthy of all the hype around it, I think.
It's it's a creature feature, isn't it? So it's horror adjacent at the very least. A classic, modern, like an absolute classic. I think it deserves every bit of praise it gets. This is going to be a yearly kind of Christmas watch for me now. Loved every second of it, and I want to go out and get like a life-sized Gizmo now to stick up behind me, and so much fun.
I have got a life-sized Gizmo, because I don't know why, but your little face reminds us a bit of Gizmo, I have to say.
I'll take it. He's a little cutie. I'm a little cutie too, haven't I?
Absolutely.
I think so. I take it this is better than Willy's Wonderland then. What would happen if you got Nick Cage wet and fed him after midnight?
Ooh, Gremlins, where Nick Cage is fighting the Gremlins naked, would be tremendous.
Okay. Is he yellow?
No, just naked.
No, doesn't need to be yellow. And that's I'll Be Right Back on Gremlins. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the channel where we do one good scare live every second Friday. And we'll be right back next time with...
Talk a little bit about what's going on in this room, because I think there are some fascinating ramifications here for the future.
Gremlins 2. The new batch.
Never, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.